They told you to be the nice guy, to hold the door, to compliment her eyes, to text her good morning and good night. You listened. You followed the script. You thought that being kind, available, and emotionally open would win her over. But every time it's the same story. She thanks you, maybe hugs you like a brother, then goes off to chase the guy who barely acknowledges her existence. And you sit there, thinking maybe you weren't nice enough. But here's the raw truth. Being nice is exactly why she doesn't see you as a man. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to unlearn the lie of niceness and finally become the man she can't ignore. You're invisible because you've been told that women value kindness the same way you do, that treating her like a queen will earn you the throne. But you miss the brutal distinction. Respect is earned through polarity, not comfort. Nice guys don't create emotional impact, they create predictability. You say all the right things, show up every time, bend when she leans, and she feels nothing. Not hate, not love, just nothing. And nothing is deadlier than being unremarkable. She doesn't reject you, she simply forgets you were there at all. Think back to the last time you crushed on a woman. You remembered everything, how she smiled, how she smelled, how her lips curled around her straw when she sipped her drink. You remembered because she had power. Now flip it. Has any woman ever remembered your cologne, the pitch of your voice, the exact words you texted after she ghosted you? Of course not. Because when you operate from neediness disguised as kindness, you become noise, white noise. Safe, boring, predictable background sound. A nice guy texts good morning every day. The man she wants texts when he has something to say. A nice guy compliments her outfit. The man she craves makes her nervous to wear it. You see the difference? One makes her feel seen. The other makes her feel tension. And tension is everything. Tension is what makes her legs shake when you enter the room. Tension is what makes her mind race after you leave. Niceness kills tension. It flattens it, like ironing out a flame. No sparks, no mystery, no desire, just flat warmth. The emotional equivalent of herbal tea. You keep trying to prove you're not like the others. You lead with disclaimers. I'm not a player, I'm different, you can trust me. But real men never explain themselves. They make her figure it out. They let her obsess. Niceness begs for clarity. Power thrives in ambiguity. You hold the door open for her, thinking she'll notice your chivalry. She doesn't. She notices the man who walked past her without looking, who didn't even acknowledge her beauty because he doesn't need validation from it. And let's not confuse cruelty with masculinity. This isn't about being a jerk. It's about understanding that approval-seeking behavior repels attraction. When your every move is about making her like you, you've already lost. The man who commands her respect doesn't try to win it. He assumes it. And if she doesn't offer it, he walks without flinching. Niceness clings, strength lets go. You've been trained by weakness disguised as virtue. You were told to apologize for your masculinity, to soften your tone, to hide your hunger. But hunger is power. Hunger is edge, and when you neuter it, you become the emotional equivalent of a rescue dog, safe, loyal, and never chosen. Women don't want men who orbit. They want men with gravity. And gravity doesn't ask for permission to pull, it just does. You think being nice is noble, but it's just fear in a bow tie. Fear of being rejected, fear of making waves, fear of standing out in the wrong way. So you play it safe. You smile when you don't feel like smiling. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You agree when you don't even believe. You're a yes man wrapped in a polite mask, hoping she'll love you for being agreeable. But deep down, she can feel it, this performance. And nothing is more repulsive than a man who performs his identity instead of living it. You're not invisible because you're quiet. You're invisible because you never make her feel anything. There's no edge, no bite, no intensity, just soft statements and safe questions. You're not risking anything, you're waiting for her to make the move. But here's the truth that stings. Women don't fall for the guy who waits for permission. They fall for the guy who chooses boldly, unapologetically, even when he knows he might lose. Because that man is alive, that man moves her. You want her to see your good heart, your integrity, your consistency. And maybe she does, but she puts it in a file labeled, "Maybe someday, when I'm ready to settle." Not "I want him now." That file is the death zone. It means she sees your value in theory, not in desire. She might talk about how good of a guy you are to her friends, but she won't fantasize about you. She won't crave you. And if she doesn't crave you, she will never chase you. She'll say things like, "You're such a good guy," or "I wish I could find someone like you," while texting the emotionally unavailable man who leaves her on read for 3 days. Not because she likes being hurt, but because pain is still something. And you've numbed her. You've made her feel so safe, so seen, so validated that there's no question left to answer. And humans don't desire what's certain. They desire what makes them feel alive, what makes them question, what makes them reach. Nice guys don't make women reach. Nice guys hand themselves over, hoping their worth will be recognized. But value never begs, and you shouldn't either. You should be so focused on becoming a man of depth, conviction, and edge that she begins to prove herself to you. Right now, you're still playing to be chosen. You're still hoping to be picked. But kings don't audition for queens. Kings build empires and watch who dares to walk into their court. You think you're being patient, waiting for her to see the real you. But waiting is the act of a man without options. A man with options chooses. A man with options doesn't wait to be discovered. He reveals himself in full power and dares the world to deal with it. Women don't want to dig to find the real you. They want to feel him when he walks in the room, when he talks, when he says no without blinking, when he doesn't chase. When he makes her question her own worth because his presence is so rooted, so unapologetic, so rare, because that's what niceness kills, rarity. If every word you speak is laced with trying to make her comfortable, you've become a generic comforter. There's nothing memorable about being her emotional safety net. She already has friends for that. She wants the man who makes her feel exposed, on edge, awake. The man who doesn't need her validation to speak his truth. You want to stop being invisible? Start being polarizing. Say what you mean. Stop buffering your thoughts with softeners like maybe, I guess, just wanted to check in. Speak with finality. Speak with the energy of a man who has nothing to prove. Because when a woman feels that, she doesn't see you as nice. She sees you as dangerous. And dangerous is unforgettable. She remembers the man who didn't flinch, the one who didn't smile out of nervous habit, the one who looked her dead in the eyes and didn't blink when she tried to test him, seduce him, or bait him into qualifying himself. The man who could see her games but didn't play, because he wasn't trying to win. That man lives in her mind forever. You get archived the moment you hit send on that 7th emoji-laced message saying just checking if you're okay. Because being nice is always a trade. You're not giving freely, you're giving to get. Every compliment is a deposit you think will build emotional credit. But you don't realize she feels the weight of your need behind those nice gestures. You think you're building trust. She feels manipulated. She senses the quiet expectation lurking behind your every sweet word. And the second she feels that pressure, she runs. Not because she's cruel, but because you're making her responsible for your self-worth. That's what nice guys do. They turn women into therapists, mothers, approval givers, and it's not fair to her. You say I'd do anything for you, when what you really mean is, please give me a reason to feel like I matter. And women can smell that desperation under the surface. You don't love her, you need her to fix a hole in your self-image. and no one wants to be someone else's band-aid. What makes a man unforgettable isn't how well he treats her, it's how deeply he knows himself. Women are drawn to a man who doesn't bend to her moods, who isn't rattled when she pulls away, who doesn't spiral when she doesn't respond. Not because he's cold, but because he's centered. His world doesn't revolve around the attention of one woman. His identity isn't held hostage by her reaction, and that's exactly what makes her react. When you're not nice, when you stop apologizing for your masculinity, when you stop editing your opinions to keep her from getting upset, when you show the world your unfiltered energy, you force her to feel. Maybe attraction, maybe curiosity, maybe even anger, but she feels. And if she feels something, you've already broken the curse of invisibility. Let me say it again, being nice is emotional camouflage. It makes you easy to ignore. And if she can ignore you, you'll never live in her head. You won't make her replay the conversation in her mind. You won't make her wonder if you're thinking about her. You'll just be another soft voice in the sea of safe men she forgets. But if you show her a man who doesn't bow to beauty, who doesn't lower his voice when she's annoyed, who doesn't rush to fix her emotional weather like her emotional janitor, that's the man who stays on her mind. That's the man she starts adjusting herself for, and that shift, that role reversal, is the moment her attraction is born. You don't need to become a jerk. You need to become solid. Be unshakable. Be willing to walk away, even if she's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Not out of bitterness, but because you value your standards over your loneliness. Because you don't chase a woman who doesn't match your energy. Because you know that attention isn't love and niceness isn't strength. Stop trying to be the good guy in her story. Start becoming the main character in your own, because when you do, she won't just notice, she'll feel you. In her gut, in her dreams, in her silence. You've been taught to believe that women are looking for a guy who'll never hurt them. But here's the deeper truth. They're looking for a man who could, but chooses not to. That's power, that's control. That's the difference between a sheep and a lion who just happens to be calm. The nice guy is a sheep trying to act like a lion by saying all the right things. But she feels it. She senses it in your body language, in your voice, in your need for approval that leaks out, even when you're trying to seem confident. The man she craves has sharp edges. He has opinions. He says no without guilt. He says, I don't like that, without needing to explain. He has standards, not because it's trendy, but because it's who he is. You have to understand, women test nice guys because they're trying to feel something. They're poking to see if there's anything behind that smile, anything real, any backbone. And when you fold, when you laugh it off, when you shrink just a little to keep her happy, she confirms the worst. You are safe, but you are not strong. You'll hear them say they want emotional connection, but don't misunderstand that. Emotional connection is not just listening and nodding, it's being real. It's saying, I don't care if you disagree, this is how I move. It's calling her out, calmly, when she's out of line. It's not pretending to agree so you can keep her close. That's manipulation dressed up as virtue, and women know the difference. She doesn't want a therapist. She wants a man whose presence commands hers to rise, not because he demands it, but because his energy refuses to drop. Niceness is a strategy. Confidence is a frequency. You can feel the difference. Niceness whispers, am I doing okay? Confidence doesn't ask, it decides. And when a woman meets a man who decides, it disrupts her. She feels disarmed, curious, alert. Because now she's dealing with a man who doesn't need her reaction to define himself. And that is the rarest energy of all. When a man has learned to walk alone without bitterness, without begging, without apology, he becomes magnetic. Let me be clear, women don't crave pain, they crave presence. They crave a man who doesn't flinch when she's moody, who doesn't collapse when she withdraws, who doesn't lose himself when she threatens to walk. Because a man like that is rooted. And roots attract. That man is the eye of the storm, and she doesn't even know why she keeps coming back. But she does. Right now you're invisible because you're too easy to digest, too easy to label, too easy to replace. You haven't shown her your depth, your fury, your edge. You've hidden it under politeness. You want to change the game? Start by becoming someone who doesn't perform. Say what you mean what you say. And don't care if she claps or walks, because when you embody that frame, she won't walk, she'll chase. She'll feel it in your silence, in your boundaries, in the way you look at her like a man who doesn't need her, but is fully capable of devouring her world if he chooses to. That's not about manipulation, that's about truth. The real you, without the nice guy filter. The version of you that doesn't need to prove anything. The version of you that shows up as a storm, not to destroy her world, but to remind her she's alive. You keep thinking that if you just show her how sweet you are, how safe you are, how deeply you care, that eventually she'll wake up and see what a good man you are. But she already sees it. She's just not moved by it. Because sweetness without strength isn't attraction, it's servitude. And servitude doesn't inspire lust, it inspires control. She knows you'll stay no matter what, that she can disappear for days, send half-hearted replies, test your patience, and you'll still be there. And that certainty kills all curiosity. You think loyalty is what she wants. No, she wants gravity. She wants a man who stays loyal to himself first. A man who doesn't orbit her moods. A man who can say, I like you, but I won't chase you, and actually mean it. When she feels that steady energy of a man who can leave at any moment, not out of anger, not out of game playing, but because he doesn't beg to be chosen, that's when she starts to feel something she hasn't felt around you before. Desire. Because when you stop giving her your time so easily, she has to earn it. When you stop flooding her phone with attention, she starts wondering where your energy went. When you stop performing for her approval and just exist in your raw, masculine edge, she doesn't feel bored. She feels alive. And aliveness is what women chase, that emotional voltage, that presence, that danger. Not the danger of being hurt, but the danger of being seen by a man who doesn't flinch. The truth is brutal, but it will set you free. You're not invisible because you're not good enough. You're invisible because you're trying to be liked, and people pleasers are always forgettable. You want to be unforgettable? Then become a man who doesn't shrink for anyone. A man who stands firm in his convictions. A man who can walk away from any woman, no matter how beautiful she is, because he knows he brings value that no woman can validate or deny. She won't remember your compliments. She won't remember your late night just thinking of you texts. She won't remember how fast you responded. She'll remember the one moment you didn't respond, the moment you walked away, the moment you called her bluff and didn't chase. That's the scene that replays in her head. That's what burns your image into her psyche. So drop the nice guy act. Kill the version of you that bends to be accepted. Nice gets thanked. Edge gets remembered. And if she never texts back, you don't break. You rise, you sharpen, you go deeper into your purpose. Because you never became this man for her. You became this man for you. You don't get noticed by being soft. You don't get respected by being liked. And you damn sure don't get desired by being safe. You become the man she can't forget when you stop needing to be seen. You don't win her over by proving yourself. You win her back by never needing her again.